I love it when you people send me things like that and or when I landed on Facebook. I so relate. I so relate to this. A person with a fabric disorder manifesting itself in extreme fascination with craft projects to the exclusion of social interaction with others. Anybody relate? Anybody? In fact, this morning I got a Sue Spargo thing in the mail, in the email. I'm like going, oh, I want it so bad. After just reading that, forgetting even what I put it up, I'm going to go order it after this. So, oh, Susan, you sent that to me? Thank you. Or that is you. Exactly. So, before we get started today, I just want to say that I am beyond giddy with what we have to share. I have to share today. It was a group effort, and it's about the work of the late Jonathan Shannon. But before we get started, I want to just go through some of these things while people load on. And I saw this the other day. I can't remember where it was, but it said the loneliest color in the world, the loneliest color, and it's that yellow. And I forget if it was William Sherman or whomever. It was a paint thing, and to me, I couldn't live with that. That, but then take a look at who it's playing with. Now let's go to here. Oh, I could just go right in there and snuggle in that chair and be happy as a pig in slop. So, this brings me to my little color thing is that a color is only as good as who it's playing with. And I know my mom said once, and I've shared this, but who knows who's here and not here, whatever, that not liking a color tells me, or not liking a color is like not understanding a note or liking a note on the piano. It's how it all plays together. And I thought this was just such an interesting representation of that. And maybe some of you could, okay? Um, I couldn't, but I could with that. So, yeah, Margie, you are gonna love this. And before we get going, Marilyn, yes, I do still have the rebate for the purchase of Bernina machines over $1,000. You need to send me your snail mail at AlexAndrsn at Gmail. And I need to send it to you before you actually purchase it. Okay, oh, this is super cool. Super cool. Okay, this is in AQS's Daytona Beach, Florida. Um, the, I don't know, the book or the whatever, the advertisement, but look at this. Look at this. We've got two cover girls here that is our from our BOM. So of course we have Carol, and we've watched that wool quilt develop, and we are heading into the land of wool real soon. I'm going to pull the trigger today. And then of course Christine's. So that, okay, if that doesn't put a smile on my face, I don't know what does. Or maybe this. Remember? Sorry, I'm laughing at you, Chris. Oh, we've all been there. We've all been there. She was babysitting her grand dog who bumped into the design wall, and uh-oh, uh-oh. So she said that quite a while back. I laugh at inappropriate things. You have to know your audience here. And then there she finally got it together. So I so appreciate, Chris, that you sent this along. And it reminds, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. When Adair was a little girl, I was working on my neutrals quilt. I think the first one I ever did. And I had it was pinwheels and stars, 4-inch stars, 4-inch pinwheels, 2-inch half square triangles, and it was a big jigsaw puzzle. And it was on this board about this big that was balanced on top of the black and white TV in my sewing room, that big. And she went up and she hit the board, and everything just flew. And I had spent hours getting this print with that print and this print with that print. And I looked at her and I said, okay, these are the 2 blocks that I'm making. Sort them out and make it pretty. So in the end, she helped create all the blocks that were in that quilt. And maybe that's when I damaged her and she decided she was never going to quilt. Hey man, you have to own it. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and then we have Susan here. Let me get this. Oh, Susan, thank you. She finished her Raja quilt. That was another one of our BOMs. And I believe by the look of it, you used your own fabric, and what a beautiful, beautiful scrap quilt it turned into. So, you know, if you haven't gotten on board with this year's BOM, I mean, we just keep bringing in the ribbons. I still cannot believe that AQS spread. That is just fantastic. It makes me so happy for all of us. For all of us, we are a group that has stood the test of time through COVID, right? Okay. So I'm going to start this little movie that what happened was Nancy Bavor was at taping this last round in Livermore. And I knew that I'd heard rumors that she had one of Jonathan's quilts, and I had hoped that she could bring it when we did our little segments, and she couldn't because it was in an exhibition at the San Jose Quilts and Textile Museum, First Street, San Jose. And I was like, oh, okay, how much longer is it going to be up? And it was like, it went down this last Monday, but John and I jammed over there. And what we thought would be a 1-part episode turned into 3, plus a bonus with Yvonne Porcella. So I so love this museum. I so support it. And so many museums are, you know, kind of struggling because they don't have big endowments, and they are there. And I have to tell you, I've been to that museum several times. This might have been the exhibit that made my toes twirl, whatever that means. So let's take a look at the piece that John put together. And I would really recommend, when it's all said and done, to share this on your social media because people really need to see it. All right, let's take a look-see. Throughout my career of quilting, there have been extraordinary moments in my life, and this is one of them. I will never forget this moment, this day. We are in the Museum of San Jose Quilts and Textiles with Nancy Bavor, and you've been on the show.
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. And what we have here today is an exhibit that is extraordinary. It's the work of Jonathan Shannon. If you don't know who he is, you need to know who he is. And if you know who he is, you are going to be riveted by the whole story. So let's start with, how did Jonathan get started into the world of quilting? Like, what's his background?
Well, Jonathan was going to UCLA, where he majored in painting. He got a degree in fine arts. And to earn some money to help put himself through school, he worked for a friend's correspondence school.
Okay.
And they needed a new unit in sewing. And he said, well, I don't know how to sew, but I can teach myself, and I can certainly do better drawings than you have here. So he rewrote the curriculum for that class, and that started his sewing. But then he went to New York, went to London, thought he was going to be a painter, but he made himself a shirt out of Liberty of London fabric, came back to LA. Everybody loved that shirt. They said, well, will you make me one? And he said, well, okay. He said, well, maybe I'll open a business. And so he and his then partner, Jeffrey Ross, opened a business in Los Angeles that catered to the movie stars. And so for 30 years, he made clothing. And this is an example of one of the shirts. This was one of Jonathan's personal shirts, where he combined kind of hippie clothing styles as well as world textiles. Then later on, he and his partner...
Wait a minute. You're leaving a part out.
Uh-oh.
Some of his clients were?
Oh, Anne Margaret, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Lucille Ball. So he dressed the movie stars.
Nice,
Yes, yes,
nice.
yes. So then he and his to-be husband, Jeffrey Ross, bought a house in Sonoma, California, a farmhouse. And in that house was a magazine, Americana, with traditional quilts on the cover. And he said, oh, I know how to sew. I can make a quilt. So he went to the local quilt store and found out that there was more to making quilts than just knowing how to sew.
Really?
So, yes, your viewers will know that. Yeah. So he took some lessons and took some classes and entered a quilt in the San Francisco Quilt Guild show, and much to his astonishment, he won a ribbon. It wasn't necessarily this ribbon, but it was one like this. Mm-hmm. And he was smitten by the, as he calls it, competitive quilt making bug.
Oh, awesome.
And that was the beginning.
And so we're going to go look at his quilts, and you're going to give us the backstory on all of them. And I can't wait to get started. It is just incredible in here. So let's get going.
Great, let's go.
So this is the quilt, and it was made in 1989.
That's right, that's right. And he became a member early on of the San Francisco Quilt Guild and the East Bay Heritage Quilters. We all know that in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
And he entered this quilt, which was inspired by Linda Ronstadt's album, Songs of My Father. And he entered it into the San Francisco Quilt Guild show, and much to his surprise, he won a ribbon.
Ooh, that feels good.
And he said, and they have such beautiful handmade special ribbons. People who have won those know what they're like. And he was smitten by the competitive quilt making bug. And so he said to himself, I liked winning prizes. What can I do? What's the ultimate prize? And he set out to win the ultimate prize.
So now he wants to go to national quilt shows.
Yes.
So let's take a look at some of the ribbon winners, okay?
So this is Samurai from 1991, and I'm sorry, 1990. And he entered, it was the first quilt that he had entered in Paducah, an American Quilters Society show there, where he won a third place ribbon. And again, that kind of stoked his desire to, okay, if I can win a third, how about a second or a first or a best of show? So
And
I'm
I'm
on his way to that. This was part of the journey.
Look, I mean, everybody look at this. John, come on in here. This is all hand quilted, and he did all of this, correct?
Yes, he did. He really was a perfectionist, and from the time he made his first quilt until he won Best of Show, he took classes with National Judging Association, with National Quilting Association, and really learned what the judges were looking for.
Okay.
And he just strove to achieve that perfection of technique,
Okay.
as well as brilliant design.
Now, I hadn't seen the first San Francisco Guild ribbon quilt, and I haven't seen this, but this next one, that's, I think, when it hit, where people like, whoa, who is this person?
Let's go take a look.
Yeah. So when this quilt showed up, I mean, people were really going, who is this person?
Well, yes, because his first quilt was in 1987. He made this in 1992. It was Best of Show in 1993. So in 6 years, he had gone from learning how to make quilts, learning quilt making, to Best of Show at Paducah. And this is Air Show, which is, we're very happy that the National Museum in Paducah, National Museum of Quilts, has lent us for this exhibition. It was also selected as one of the 100 best quilts of the 20th century. And Jonathan is only one of 3 makers who had 2 quilts in that 100.
Wow. Now, I do want to say, though, a lot of his collection is here also.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You know?
Jonathan died in 2017, and a couple of years later, his husband, Jeffrey Ross, contacted us, and he and Jonathan had talked about it before his death. And so we are very grateful that the majority of Jonathan's work is here, as well as the quilts that he collected.
To me, this was a surprising quilt to see here because it's just so traditional.
Yes, and I chose it because it was one of Jonathan's early quilts. It's not his first or his earliest, but he made it for his partner, Jeffrey Ross. And for me, it speaks to a lot of the reason why many of us make quilts for someone we love, who's a big part of our lives. And I just want to point out the title of the quilt is If You Go to Sea, Take Me. And then he has the SS Jeffrey Ross is the name of one of the sailboats. And they lived in Belvedere, California, which overlooks the San Francisco Bay. So I have a feeling this alludes to all those sailboats they could see from their house.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Now, I have not seen this quilt before, Nancy. Tell us about it.
It's a little atypical of Jonathan's work, but in addition to being a brilliant artist and quilt maker, he was also a community activist. And he saw a photograph in the San Francisco Chronicle that was a photograph of the Gay Men's Chorus, founded in 1978 with 125 members. And when he saw the photograph in about 1992, only 7 of the original members were still living, and the rest had died from AIDS. And so this was his way of celebrating, honoring, and getting the world to recognize the devastation that AIDS had caused, especially in San Francisco.
Documenting history and all the little red ribbons that are on it. I've got to believe those were really people's ribbons.
Yes, I think so. I think so. Yeah, it's quite a powerful piece.
It is. In 1991, there was a huge fire in the Berkeley or Oakland Hills?
Oakland Hills.
Oakland Hills. It was devastating.
It was terrible.
There was an exhibit then called together for people who wanted to make quilts to go in it to tell about the fire. And I remember Mary Mashuda had one. I think Roberta had one.
Yes.
This is his, and it's quite profound.
So something like 1,900 homes were destroyed. Several dozen people were killed. And this exhibition was really a catharsis, but it was also to help raise funds to help those who had lost their homes. And Jonathan made this, and again, I think it points out to me what a brilliant colorist he is, because it's clearly the intensity of the fire, the heat, the oranges and the reds, but also the gray smoky. But then he alludes to this samurai who's kind of scary, who's got flames on it. So he's using, again, fabric and color and design to tell the story and the drama of the story and the terror. The sheer terror.
I'll just say this. I was driving home from Sacramento that day, and I saw what I thought was fog. And we lived in Pinole then, and we got there. It wasn't fog.
It wasn't fog.
And it was fast, and it was mean, and it was hard.
It was, yeah. And that's it.
Yep.
That's his tribute.
Yep. This is an interesting transition.
It is. So after he had achieved his goal of winning Best of Show in Paducah, quilts that he took a year, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day to make, he kind of changed gears. He had always collected world textiles with all of his travels, and he had quite a nice collection of those. And he decided he just wanted to spend less time doing quilt making, and more time traveling. But he started making these very abstract works using his world textiles, and he said, I just wanted to let the fabrics speak for themselves.
You know, one of the crazy things with Jonathan is that when his quilts started hitting shows, you're like, want to find out, okay, is he putting something in there? Because if not, I'll save mine till next year. You know what I mean? This one I remember like the back of my hand.
A lot of people remember Jonathan's sunflowers. It's actually called July, parentheses sunflowers. But again, it's hand appliqued, hand quilted, and it's a monster size. It's enormous. And I think that was the first time I remember seeing his work. And it's just mind-boggling. It's a brilliant design. It's beautifully executed, and his mastery of technique and color and design is just astounding.
And this also was in Paducah.
Exactly.
And I just want to say this a little bit here. He was very active in Paducah, correct?
Yes, he was. He was eventually on the board of American Quilter Society. He was very generous, providing scholarship funds for youth to learn how to make quilts, and was a great supporter of American Quilter Society.
Okay. Are we going to go to the big show now?
Yes, we're going to go to the big show now.
Okay.
Let's go.
Now, last but not least, we have this quilt behind us, and it's
Amigos Muertos.
and it caused a scene. It did.
It did. It was Jonathan's second entry to a national quilt show, and it was not accepted. And so we can
Cliffhanger. Yeah. So we're going to do another episode because I don't want to just gloss over what happened here with Nancy. But I want to thank you with what we've gathered so far. This is just rich with information.
It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so how mean is that? How mean mean is that? It's just an amazing story. And you think about it, he was only really quilting for 10 years, you know, for 10. Yeah. So I have a couple more pictures here, which I think are just wonderful. He was a gentle giant, very tall man. And here he is at, I don't know where he is actually, but collecting the textiles that ultimately he started going that way with like those X quilts, which I just adore. Okay, then we've got okay, a couple of prizes here and there. Just a couple, just a couple. So the other thing is that, gosh, I don't know if, you know what? I don't think it was in this segment, but no, it's going to be on Monday's segment. I'm going to curb my tongue on this one. All right. So on Monday, what am I doing here? On Monday, we are going to do a whole thing on Amigos Huertos. I'm going to say Huerto. I can't speak Spanish that well. It's also known as the AIDS quilt, the dancing skeleton quilts. And what's so interesting, when I would say his name to somebody, if I say the airplane quilt or the dancing skeletons, they know exactly, because these are quilts that are burned in your mind and your heart forever. So I hope you enjoyed that. But now we're on to other things here. Oh, yeah. So I want to say this too. This museum, thank you, John, for putting this up. This museum it needs money. Okay. It needs money. It's, again, it doesn't have foundations supporting it and things like that. And if you could just send $10 to them, it would be great. It's the San Jose Quilts, not cash, right? San Jose Quilts and Textile Museum in San Jose, California, and it's on First Street. We just really have to support these places to keep our history alive and growing, and help educate the new people of where we have come so far from the 70s. So I even found out that they have in their collection my son-in-law's grandma's collected quilt. I thought that was crazy. So, yeah, Sue, he was amazing. Okay, drum roll. I have something to share with you. Finally! Finally! So let's take a look at the project we're going to be starting when I get back from Paducah. It's our Magic Garden Gnome. Wall hanging, pillow, you know, whatever you want. It has been a labor of love for us to put this together. You know, we've been working on this since November, and this is a new venture for us, for me to dipping into woolwork. But if any of you know me, I have been dipping my toe into woolwork for a couple of years. I think during the pandemic, I really got into it. So yesterday, I have to show you. I shouldn't even show you this, but this is like pretty funny. Okay. Um, here's my list. But my girlfriend gave me this. Oh my gosh. And I put it on earlier. I'm going, oh, I gotta hide that. It's kind of funny. So I am going to unbox the Gnome kit. I haven't even opened it yet. I think this is one of the cutest presentations our people have put together. So I said to Suzanne, how do I open this? And the front of it comes open. All right. And this is all new to me. I'm so excited. Okay, let's see. I want to get that back there. All right. So in the kit, this is what you will get. You will get the paper pattern, okay? And it's a full-size rendering on architectural blueprint paper, so you don't have to piece it together. If you want to just buy the pattern, because it's so adorable, if you ask me, we can sell you a digital pattern. We can also sell you a hard pattern. With digital, you save the price of shipping, but you have to tape it together. So the call is yours. Oh my gosh, look how cute. Okay, let me take this out. We have in here Wonderfill specialty threads that we aren't making you buy the full skein because that would just get too expensive. So we estimated how much you would need for the different parts of the little wool piece. Also, if you're going to do it yourself, we have included these, boy, I'm just stumbling all over myself, Sashiko needles in your kit. But if you're going to do your own thing, I would really recommend these needles like no tomorrow. And then we have everything kind of pre-cut and ready to go. You're going to have to, we're going to walk through the whole thing together. The other deal is when you go to buy this, if you don't have a book yet with stitches, this is a good one to begin with. This one by Sharon Boggin. But even if you have other ones, I really like this book. And the reason I like this book, and I've got a bunch of books, okay, and I refer them all. So it's not like you just want one, kind of like Shoe Spargo Wool. It has right and left-handed, which I adore. I also love, let me see if I can get this up here and then get it so it comes in. I really like that it's not line drawings, that it's actually on this gridded fabric so you can really see where the needle goes and stuff like that. Now, I will tell you this, my friends. Let me get back here. The stitches that we are doing, okay, well, oh, because I'm in the wrong place. Hold on. Camera's a little different. The stitches we are doing are very, very simple, okay? I don't know how many there are there. I'm going to say 7 or 8. I don't know. The other thing not included in the kit, but you can get it from us, is the yellow back piece, all right? I wanted to put it on it because I wanted to cover up a lot of the stitching. There's still some that comes through, but I also want to show this, and I'll show this more down the road. I didn't have enough yellow. I went to the quilt shop in between stitches and I didn't want to buy 2 pieces because I'm too cheap. So I actually pieced it together. You can barely see it on the front. And then on the back, I covered it with these lace and pearls, a la Cindy Needham. So in this particular project, you're going to do your own thing, your own creative thing. We'll start with the same bones. But like, for instance, I added, it's not in the pattern, I added circles. I decided I needed that. I used my go cutter. And I decided that I wanted to put the scallops at the bottom. You don't have to do it. I don't think I just said this. You can purchase the yellow from us, but I originally was going to do red and have it as a Christmas thing. So that's why we didn't include it in the kit, because you might want to go get red from Sue Spargo. Maybe your local quilt shop carries it and stuff like that. So I am very, very excited to get this project going. Yes, Debbie, it's all wool. Why wool? If you've never worked with it, you're going to lose your mind with how stitchable it is and how easy it is to work with. It's so easy. And I have to honor Sue Spargo because in the sense she opened the door to this for me. So we have them in the store. I have no idea how fast they're going to sell, but if you're interested, don't delay. The kit, here we go. The kit is $129 of what I just showed you here, all right? Then there's other things that you might want to add or not add, and Kristen has put it all together in the same spot in the store, all right? The wool is not fused. It is not fused, which is why the ring of thread is in the store. It's basically sewn down before, and then you do all the fancy stitches. So I've been waiting for this. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. Okay, so Barbara, yeah, your daughter got it for the book for your birthday. It's an awesome book. And again, I have many, but I had to pick one book that I could really recommend. I don't know, we might have 20 copies in the store or something. Not a whole lot. But I really like this book, and you can see I use it, you know? So, okay, on Monday, Nancy's going to tell us about the controversial skeleton quilt of Jonathan's. And it's a fascinating story that'll make you think a little bit. And yeah, it's basically about the Day of the Dead. And I will tell you a little bit about that when we do it on Monday, what that's all about. Okay, I so wish I'm allergic to wool. Kristen, I believe there are polyester type fabrics you can use instead. I have to tell you something. Our cutters, we found out one of them is allergic to wool. And I asked Sue Spargo's people about that, and they said actually one of their employees is allergic to wool, but she suffers through. Now, the other thing you could do, Kristen, is there is no reason you can't make this on cotton, just get out your scraps and get going, because I think this thing is so cute. So, so cute. All right, felt. Susan Pepin says felt. That's what you need to go look for, Kristen. Okay, I don't know how it is to stitch on and things like that. Um, okay, oh gosh, Carol, I just missed your question, but John just said it. I'll be with Quilters Select in Paducah. I will not have the kits in Paducah. And my guess is they'll be gone before that. And the kits, I'll tell you this, you get free shipping with it because it's over $100. So yay! If there's other stuff you want in the store, it's time to get it, right? Okay, I will see you Monday. Um, Today's a very happy day for me. I'm so glad John got this thing put together for you. And then I'm going to go out to lunch with two people I love and adore. So it just doesn't get better than that. See ya. Monday. Dee is not doing something this weekend. I believe I heard that in yesterday's meeting. We appreciate your patience and your kindness, and I more than ever appreciate you. Oh, wait, John's coming back. She is on Monday? She is?
Yes,
She is?
she is.
My bad.
Yeah, the improv quilts is
Okay, this improv quilting is on Saturday. Don't listen to me, listen to him. We love Dee. Okay, let me make sure there's nothing else here I need to see. I'll hold it up again. What about the higher quality felt? Margie, what I would do before I hold it up, I would literally go to wherever I'm going to get it, because I haven't worked with what you're asking, and I would take a needle, a sewing needle, and needle through it and see if it grabs the needle, if it accepts it nicely, or if it's horrible. I would even, when I was really hand quilting a ton and I was going to go purchase a backing for a quilt, even if I was in a quilt shop and even if it wasn't batik, which I would steer clear from, so tightly woven, I would take a needle and I would needle the fabric on the bolt to see how it needles. So here, let me hold it up again, Lib. Let me back up. It's so cute, I can't stand it. It is so cute. Now, you don't have to put the backing on it. You could make a pillow. People will say to me, well, what's it for? And I'm like, it's for my heart. It makes me happy. And maybe you save it and then do other little blocks around it too. It's kind of loosey-goosey when it comes to the size of it and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Box store felt is trash. Okay. Good felt might have wool in it. Beware. Oof. You know what? If you're really truly allergic to wool, I would just do it in cotton. It'd be adorable in cotton. And you can share it on the forum, and I can't wait to see what you're doing. Okie doke. So I hope you jump on board with this. We will be actually starting stitching like the beginning of May. So, yay! Talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Bye-bye.